All right, well, hello everyone. Welcome to the No Fear Job Search webinar series. My name is John Shields. I'm the marketing manager at Jobscan. In case you're not familiar with Jobscan by now, we're a Seattle-based company dedicated to making the best online tools for job seekers, from resume and LinkedIn optimization to our new career-changing tool. So, we put this webinar series together in response to all the precariousness in the world and job market right now. And our goal with this is simply to get as many job seekers as we can in front of the people and the tools that can help them right now today. So this webinar with Betty Kempa is the 13th of 15 in the No Fear Job Search webinar series. We hope to see you in the last couple of remaining sessions on the topics of LinkedIn and cover letters. So you can see the remaining schedule at jobscan.co/no-fear. All right, well, with that, I'm delighted to turn it over to today's presenter, Betty Kempa. Welcome, Betty.
Hi, thanks so much, John. Thanks, Paige. Hi, everybody, welcome. Okay. All right, so what to do if you get laid off? All right, so first off, just want to thank Jobscan for having me, John, Paige. This is such an awesome and supportive community, so I'm really glad to be a part of it. And I want to get started here. Let's click through here. Okay, so first I just want to talk about today's agenda, what we're going to be covering today. It's just a short glimpse here. I'm going to give you an introduction to me so you know who is talking to you here. We're going to talk about getting your mind right. So what I mean by that is getting into the right headspace to approach your job search. We're going to talk about what to do first. So the logistics, getting clarity on your job target, an effective networking strategy, how to position yourself in the market by adding value, and how to structure your job search, how to structure your day. And at the end of the presentation, you're going to get some additional resources. So again, like John said, Jobscan's going to send you this deck, and I just want you to be able to feel like you're present, and you don't have to take a ton of copious notes. You're going to get all this good stuff. Okay. So quickly, who I am. My name is Betty Kempa. I'm an executive career change coach. Specifically, my niche is I help mid to senior level corporate women identify and successfully transition into careers that they love using my signature 5-step career bliss coaching formula. So I have coached all types of clientele, executive women from companies such as Google or Sephora, PayPal, Workday, different Fortune 500s. I'm certified with IPEC. They are the Professional Excellence in Coaching. They're an ICF accredited program. And I'm also an Energy Leadership Master Practitioner. And really what I want you to kind of know about me and take away is my style of coaching is a mix of inner work and external strategy, both of which are imperative for a successful career change. Okay, so I'm kicking this off with these unemployment stats, not to scare you, not to be a downer, but because specifically, I want you to know that you are not alone, okay? This layoff was not about you. This is about the state of the world. Okay, and I know that you know that deep down, but I'm hoping that these numbers really put that in perspective for you. I've been in your shoes. I've been laid off before. I work with a lot of executives who are freshly laid off, and I know that sometimes people will, beat themselves up, or they start to think about what did I do, or they feel some kind of shame or stigma. And what I want to say is, in this day and age, when you start applying, when you start interviewing, and you state, hey, I was laid off due to COVID, if they ask, everybody gets it. Hiring managers get it, recruiters get it, right? You're not alone. Okay, that's why I'm kicking it off with this. Now I want to talk for a second about the 5 stages of grief after a job loss. And the 6th stage is kind of like getting back to normal. Now, I'm just going to briefly touch on these. And as I do, I want you, without any judgment, just awareness, to kind of think about where you are in this continuum. Okay, so just be thinking about that. Stage 1, shock or denial, and that could be, when you're avoiding or you feel some fear. Stage 2 is anger. That could be, the shame or the anxiety that people feel. Stage 3 is depression or detachment. This is where people kind of shut down. They feel overwhelmed or helpless. Stage 4 is when you start to come out on the other side, right? So this is dialogue or bargaining. So this is where you start to connect to others. You start to reach out. You start to seek meaning about what happened. Stage 5 is acceptance, right? What happened, happened. Explore your options and creating a plan. And stage 6 is when you're eventually back to feeling empowered and feeling security and finding meaning. So what I want to drive home here, why am I sharing this, is that whatever you're feeling right now, whatever phase you're in, it's perfectly normal and it's okay. Okay, so, be sure that you have a solid support system in place, emotional support system. For some of you, consider finding some virtual counseling online. There's some great online counseling programs if you need them. But whatever you do, whatever phase you're in, just make sure that you feel fully supported. Now, once again, once you are ready to feel better, again, it's okay to just feel how you feel, but once you're ready to feel better and you're ready to move into the next phase, I want you to lean into the power of thought. Okay, the power of thought. Here's what I mean by that. You can't change the circumstance we're in, right? I was laid off. You can change your perspective and the thoughts that you attach to the circumstance. So this is about controlling the controllables. Now, why do thoughts matter? Okay, this isn't all woo-woo. This is tangible stuff. If you want to feel better, you need to attach to a new thought. If you want to show up differently, you need to attach to a new thought. If you want successful results with your career search, you guessed it, you need to attach to a new thought. Now, here's why it's a snowball effect, okay? Our thoughts trigger how we feel. How we feel triggers how we show up, our actions or inactions, and our actions trigger the results that we see. So I'm just going to give you a brief example, right? If your thought is, this is a hopeless situation, and you're just drilling that into your head, you're attached to that, you're going to trigger a feeling of, I feel numb, I feel sad. What action or inaction is that feeling going to trigger? Well, perhaps you shut down. And what's the result? Well, maybe the result is you spend 20 minutes on job search activities for the day, and then you watch Tiger King on Netflix for the rest of the day, right? So what I want you to do is think about, how do I reverse engineer this? So what's the result you want? Well, if the result is I want to get a new job, reverse engineer it. What is the action that I have to take to get that result? So, for example, maybe the action is, hey, I'm going to spend 5 hours a day job searching, job search related activities. So what do I need to feel in order for me to take that kind of action, that kind of massive action? Well, I need to feel motivated, right? Now, what thought do I need to attach to in order to feel motivated, right? So I'll give you some examples. Maybe your thought you're attaching to is, hey, I watched some amazing Jobscan webinars and I have a leg up on the competition, and now all I have to do is execute. And I'm attaching to that thought. Now I start to feel pumped, right? Or, hey, the thought is, everything happens for a reason. There is something bigger and better for me just around the corner. Only you can determine what specific thought you need to attach to yourself in order to feel motivated to show up the way that you need to. Okay, it's a very personal thing. Next, I want to talk about your morning routine. So how do you consistently get yourself into the right headspace so that you can show up the way that you need to during a job search, right? So being out of work, not to mention during a pandemic, it's throwing people off their routine. And the problem with that is that your morning routine is setting the tone for your day. Now, this is coming from someone who is not a morning person, but I've seen how much better and more productive my day is, how much better I feel when I kick it off this way. So here's just a couple ideas I want you to chew on about incorporating into your morning routine. First, consider creating a list of powerful thoughts or affirmations that you truly believe, not fluff, but things that you truly believe, that are true to you, that could trigger a slightly better feeling, and read through them each morning. So here's a couple that I like. No matter what happens, no matter what comes my way, I can handle it, period. Okay? Or I will look for the opportunity today in my job search. I will look for the opportunity, right? The second thing you can do is gratitudes. So again, create a list of things you're grateful for, big and small. Review your list each morning. The third is meditation. So even if for 5 minutes, you can check out, there's some great apps. There's Headspace or Insight Timer are some great apps. You can even Google or search on YouTube for guided visualizations or meditations. And last is physical activity. So even a 10-minute walk, even 5 minutes of jumping jacks, you need to get the blood pumping somehow. There's an awesome book. It's an easy read. It's called Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, E-L-R-O-D. Just Google Miracle Morning. Check it out if you're interested in this kind of thing. Okay. Next is what to do first. So now we've covered the internal stuff. We've got our mind right. Now let's get to the external strategy, the logistics of what to tackle first. Okay, so there are 10 questions that you need to ask your employer when you get laid off. Okay, so first, you want to ask, what's the last official day of my employment? Right? You need to know this because when you are applying for unemployment online, it's going to ask that question. Number 2, do I get severance? How much severance do I get? Again, this is going to impact your filing for unemployment. Number 3, when is the last paycheck and how will I receive it? Again, you want to make sure that they have the right mailing address, because if it's not a direct deposit, you want to get that check. Number 4, will I get paid outstanding vacation or personal days? So check your employee handbook. Speak up if they owe you money here, but cross-check that. Number 5, how long will medical last? Will I be eligible for COBRA? Again, I know a lot of people like to get in all their telehealth or doctor's appointments or prescriptions ahead of time, but you want to ask that question. Number 6, who can a future employer contact for a reference? So usually there's an 800 number that they can call, but you need to get that if there is. If not, you need to know who the contact for a reference check is in case your supervisor gets laid off. You also want to know what info is going to be verified on a reference check. Now, usually it's just dates of employment, right, or pay. It's not performance feedback, but you want to verify that so you can let your new employer know what information your company is going to provide. Number 7, am I eligible for rehire if a job comes available? So here you need to know how they coded you in the paperwork, because if they listed you as fired, it could impact your ability to get unemployment. So if they say, no, you're not eligible for rehire, first off, you need to get that in writing. If you were told you were laid off, but you were coded as fired, you potentially want to consult with an employment attorney. But, check on that, check on whether or not you're eligible for rehire. Number 8 is an important one. Will I receive outplacement service? Will I receive job coaching? Now, guys, what I'm going to say to you again and again is, if you don't ask, the answer is always no. So even if you're like, I know I'm not going to get that, if you don't ask, the answer is always no. So you need to know that people who get help with job coaching get jobs twice as fast, because job searching is a skill, right? Resume, cover letter, right? This stuff is a skill. Now, if your employer tells you, nope, you're not going to get that, I want you to ask, is anybody else in the organization getting outplacement coaching? If they say yes, then you're going to say, hey, I would like some too. Okay. Now, again, this is just going to help you get off unemployment faster, which actually benefits the employer. Last thing, so if there's no way, they're not going to provide it to you, you can ask if you're going to get reimbursed. Can I get reimbursed for it? So if I hire a job coach, can I get reimbursed for it? The unemployment office is really overwhelmed right now, so you want to ask for this help. Again, if you exhaust all these possibilities, I want to encourage you to consider, if you were going to invest in anything right now, this would be the thing to get you the ROI that you need to get a job quickly. Number 9 is, who's my contact in case I have other questions once I leave? So you don't want to be gone out the door and you have questions and you don't have a name and an email. Number 10 is actually ask for a letter of recommendation. So if you're leaving on good terms, obviously, ask your supervisor, hey, can I get a letter of recommendation via email, on LinkedIn, preferably both. That goes a really long way when applying for a role and saying, yeah, I got laid off due to COVID, but I had a great experience there, and here's this letter of recommendation. Okay, so that's your checklist. Now I want to talk about just, some basic immediate action items after you get the questioning out of the way. First is file for unemployment through your state website. I also provided a link for careeronestop.org. There's lots of resources there related to COVID, unemployment, and just career in general. Number two, I want you to assess your finances. I know this is a given, but cut your expenses. You know, I'm old school. I print out my bank and credit card statements. I highlight recurring fees and cut out the non-essential. There's a great app, if you're not old school, called You Need a Budget, YNAB. And that's a great one to create a budget going forward. And then, of course, you're going to figure out how much you have left in savings, right? So determine what's my runway so I know how quickly I need to get that next job. Last but not least, contact all service providers. Explain your situation. Hey, I got laid off due to COVID, or my hours were reduced. Is there anything you can do for me? Okay, so if you don't ask, the answer is always no. So landlord or mortgage, they could have a hardship program. Banks, maybe they'll waive your monthly service fee, utilities, cable, car insurance. Just ask, see what they can do. Okay, all right. So next, it's all about knowing your target. Okay, so you got the logistics out of the way. Now let's get you a job. Okay, so you need to know what kind of job you're targeting. A generic resume, a spray and pray method applying to anything does not work. Okay, so how do you decide what role you're targeting? Okay, so first is method one is taking a moment to catch your breath. Do some introspection on what's next and what you truly want. This is something that I especially, specialize in coaching on, is reevaluating what kind of career is going to truly bring you happiness and fulfillment. So you want to examine things like, your job history, your personality type, what motivates you, what job functions put you in a state of flow, what are your strengths, your mission statement, what's your why, what are your values. So your target career ideally is going to align with these key points that make you who you are. Okay, now I'm providing a link here on the screen. Again, you're going to get this deck. You'll be able to click through once you receive the deck to an in-depth article that I wrote on this topic. You can also find the article on my website blog. Okay, so that's method number one of getting clear. Method two is short and sweet, the bridge job, what I call the bridge job. So some of you, based on your assessment of finances, have a shorter runway. That's okay too. So your focus might be on a bridge job. Bridge job is going to pay the bills. It may not be the dream role, but it's got a lot of the basic criteria that matters to you. So salary, company culture, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, it takes the edge off not having a job. Now, I personally used both these methods after my layoff. So I reassessed, I got clarity on what I wanted long-term, what I wanted the dream role to look like, which is what I'm doing now. And I also took a bridge job to pay my bills while I chipped away at making the dream role a reality. So either way, in order to accelerate your job search, you need to land on a target. Okay. So when I say a target, I mean a target job or a target job title that you're going after. Why? Because that's going to affect your entire job search strategy. Your marketing material, how you brand your resume, cover letter, LinkedIn, your networking strategy, your interview prep. You need to know your target in order to hit it. So decide on the target job title that you're going to be going after. And then I want you to give this exercise a try. Okay, so this is something called target job description exercise. It's a great little exercise. It's from the book Knock 'em Dead Resumes. And here's why I want you to do this exercise. I know a lot of people just want to dive right into the resume, but this exercise is going to allow you to look through the lens of the hiring manager, one. Number two, you're going to use this when you're developing your marketing material, your resume, your LinkedIn. Number three, you're going to use this exercise to identify any skill gaps so you can brush up on them ASAP. And lastly, you're going to use this for interview prep, right? So this is the foundational work. Okay, so here's how to do the target job description exercise in 4 steps. Step one, take the one job title that you're going to go after, and I want you to find 6 job postings for that job title on LinkedIn, Indeed, Google, whatever. The geography doesn't matter, so don't be worried about, I'm looking for in my area. This isn't about your applying to these jobs. Just find 6 job postings with the title that you're targeting. Okay, again, I'm old school, I print them out, but PDF and save if you don't have a printer. Step 2 is spread them out on your kitchen counter side by side or whatever you have to do so you can look at them together and look for patterns, look for similarities. So use a highlighter. And what I want you to look for are repeating requirements, qualifications, keywords, phrases, or deliverables, okay? Step 3 is open up a Google Doc. Okay, so open up a Google Doc. And what I want you to do is list a couple variations of the target job title at the top. So usually it might be phrased a couple different ways. That's going to help you know what to set up job search alerts for. And underneath, I want you to list out requirements, deliverables, keywords that are common to 6 out of 6 job postings. So man, all 6 told me I needed this, 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 and this. Okay, so you list those out. Underneath that, you're going to list out requirements, deliverables, keywords common to 5 out of 6 job postings. So you see where I'm going here, 4 out of 6, all the way down. So that's step 3, okay? Step 4 is make a copy of the Google Doc. And on the copy, what we're going to do is personalize the target job description exercise to you. So now we're going to personalize it to you. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at the first bullet point in your Google Doc, and you're going to imagine a hiring manager saying to you, hey, tell me about a time you did XYZ, whatever that first bullet point is. And I want you to list out your answer in SCAR format. Sometimes people say star, star, but I have it listed here. It's situation, so the background or context, the challenge you faced, the action you took, the result you got, quantify if possible. Okay, let me show you what that looks like. So here it is again, the target job description exercise, but now you can see with my big old pink arrow, I'm pointing to an example, a SCAR example that you've now included. Okay, so you can see here, under common to 6 out of 6 job postings, it's prepare and deliver value-based sales presentations and software to prospective customer audiences. So that's something you saw in 6 job postings. You listed it first. Now you're going to list your own personal SCAR example, situation, challenge, action, result. So you're thinking to yourself, oh man, when have I done that? When have I done that? Right? So here's an example. You can read through it, but it's basically saying, hey, at XYZ company, I was in charge of preparing and delivering over 24 sales presentations, demonstrating how our product created efficiencies and was superior to our competition. So that's the situation, that's the background. The challenge was I had to create this from scratch in under a week. I pulled our team together. We successfully delivered the presentation to over 200 prospective customers. There was the action, and it resulted in 10% increase in sales. Result. Okay. I want you to just go on to the next bullet point and, keep going. SCAR example, SCAR example. So you're building your library of wins that are related to the role that you're going after. Now, once you filled out this document all the way, now you know, based on your experience, how you are uniquely qualified to do this job. And in your brain, really, I want you to focus on the top, 6 out of 6, 5 out of 6, 4 out of 6. Okay, now, how do I come up with these SCAR examples? Part of this is a brainstorm, right? You're just really taking time to think and reflect. It depends what you have access to still. So if you still have access to old sent work emails, the sent emails are good because it's the stuff you worked on, old PowerPoint presentations, old project folders. If you have a hard drive of stuff you've worked on, old performance reviews will, trigger something in your brain. Pull in some trusted colleagues or supervisors. Hey, help me think of this stuff, right? So do a little brainstorm session. Okay. So again, this exercise, this is a part of how you need to brand yourself in your resume, in your cover letter, your LinkedIn, during your interview. This is how you connect the dots for the hiring manager so that she immediately sees why you were born to do this role. It's not, oh yeah, I'm good at this. It's like, no, this is literally what I've done. Okay, so it's going to help you think through what is your unique value proposition as it relates to the role. Okay, so now you know how to target and how to brand yourself. It's time to update your resume, your cover letter, your LinkedIn. But Jobscan already has some amazing presenters on these topics, interview prep. So go back and watch those replays or the ones that are upcoming, attend those webinars. And then, of course, visit Jobscan to make sure your resume and LinkedIn are optimized, right? Do the scan. Okay, so I'm going to actually focus on today, networking. Right? So that's my focus for today. Also, what I like to call the hidden job market, okay? The hidden job market. Now, I'm going to drop a couple fact bombs because I want to illustrate to you why you need to spend your time networking versus just applying online again and again, apply. So 80% of jobs are landed through networking. 70 to 80% of jobs are not even published. Of the ones that are, 250 applicants are applying online per role. And that's increasing with COVID right now. Less than 3% of people that apply online will hear back, okay? So again, I'm not trying to bum you out here. I'm just trying to really drive home to you why I want you to network, okay? It's the best time to network. Professionals are quarantined, they're home, right? So maybe they have extra time to talk. And not only that, building relationships take time. You need to plant seeds, you need to water them over time so that once a job does open up, you're top of mind, right? So I want you to think about ways to be seen as a giver and a server now versus a taker later. What I mean is reaching out cold to somebody once you need something. So I want to walk you through 5 networking steps to get your foot in the door at your target company before the job ever gets posted. Okay, so you need to be doing what I'm about to share with you consistently in order to produce massive results. Okay. All right, so step 1 is create a target company list. So I want you to add companies to the list regardless of whether or not they currently have postings online. Like, oh, they don't have any openings. Doesn't matter. Okay, so create a target company list up to 20, maybe around 20 at least. And essentially, you know, the goal here is to get on their radar before they post the job or to get a referral for a job at one of these companies. Now, why? Why do I need to create a target company list? Why? Well, because it's going to affect how you network. It's going to, you know, affect which networking events you attend, even virtual networking events. It's going to affect, you know, which networking groups you join, which LinkedIn connections you make, and who you engage with on LinkedIn. Now, how do you come up with the list? Well, starts with the brainstorm, the brain dump, right? You probably have a couple companies in mind, like, oh, wouldn't that be great if I could work there? Next, come up with a list of those competitors. So once you have a couple down, I want you to go onto LinkedIn, use the LinkedIn search bar at the top, and type in the company name that you're thinking about. And then look to the right-hand side of the screen on your LinkedIn, and you can see I have a picture here. It's going to show you similar companies, right? So these are the competitors. Add those to your target company list, okay? I gave you some additional links here that you can check out. Greatplacetowork.com, Monta.com. On their website, you can search businesses by category. Vault.com, you can search by keywords or industries. They have a lot of list of best companies to work for. Professional associations, if you're a member of a professional association, they may have a business membership directory. Even just looking at LinkedIn job postings can give you some ideas. And even Google Maps, so you can search for types of businesses in your radius where you're willing to live. Okay, so that's step 1. Step 2 is empower your inner circle to help you. So create a list of all friends, family, colleagues who already know, like, and trust you. So they want to help you, but they don't know how. They don't know how to help you. You're going to reach out to each of them individually. Of course, you're going to connect, you know, human to human right now, see how they're doing. But then just let them know, like, hey, I'm in the market for a new job, and provide them the target company list. Here are the companies that I'm interested in, okay? Potentially, you could also consider, you know, letting them know, you know, here's the title that I'm targeting. Here's the target industry, the size of the company, the geography I'm willing to, you know, whatever that looks like. Some of my clients will even create like a 1-pager with the target companies and some of these other details and provide it as an attachment to their network. But again, what you're essentially saying is, hey, do you know anyone who works at one of these companies who you might virtually introduce me to so that I might simply learn more about the company culture and their experience working there? Okay, so this isn't really an intense ask. You're not, give me a job. And I also want you to think outside of the box about who you ask. One girl was chatting with her hairdresser about the company she was targeting, kind of off the cuff, and he piped up and said, hey, I have a client, my other client works there, and he connected the two of them, her hairdresser, right? So my point is, don't discount anyone in your immediate network. You never know who they know. Your network does not need to be directly working in your target company or industry. They just need to know someone who is, right? Okay, step 3 is request a chat, request a virtual interview. So your inner circle says, hey, yeah, I do know someone that works there. They connect the two of you via email. And, you know, then you can pipe in, you can respond to that person, you know, hey, Steve, I'm so glad you connected us. I hope you're healthy and safe out there. I really love what your company's been doing in the XYZ space, and I'm considering exploring some roles there. But first, I really want to make sure it's a good culture fit. I'd love to hear your experience working there. Would you happen to have 20 minutes to chat this Thursday or Friday? I know you're extremely busy. I'd love your input. That's it, right? Hop on a Zoom call or a phone call. Side note, the person that I'm referring to here at your target company, they do not need to be a hiring manager, the recruiter, or HR. Bonus points if they are, but it's not necessary yet. Okay, they don't even need to work in your target department. This person, I want you to think of them as your sponsor. There's someone within the four walls of your target company who down the road has the potential to refer you for a role or connect you to the hiring manager, okay? One step at a time. So step 4 is plant the seed, have the chat. Okay, so thank them for taking the call, right? Be human. Don't get right into, talking about the job, like, hey, how you doing out there? You safe, you healthy, right? And I want your approach to be, come from a place of curiosity and service. Come from a place of curiosity and service. It's a really non-aggressive way of building the relationship versus, hey, can you get me a job, right? So, shared some questions here. Tell me about your experience working there, what inspired you to take the role, your favorite part about working there. And here's how, whatever it is, right, to kind of have that conversation, build the relationship. You're going to close with, hey, this has been such a helpful conversation. Thank you so much. What can I do in return to support you in any way right now? And honestly, guys, it can be, they might just say, oh, nothing, but even from the smallest thing, like making an introduction to something bigger, like a pro bono project, this is about building a relationship with somebody, coming from a place of service. Close it off with, hey, anyone else in the company you recommend I speak to continue to learn about the company culture. So keep the ball rolling. Okay, last but not least, step 5, water the seed, build a relationship. Okay, this is the important part. I want you to connect to them on LinkedIn, send them a lovely, thank you message, start a networking tracking sheet. You're going to be doing a lot of these, so track all your interactions. That's important so that you don't let them fizzle out. You're building a relationship here. And I want you to think about, how can I continue to add value to this human? Okay, so whatever that looks like, maybe you're sending them relevant articles or resources based on the conversation that you had together. If they're active on LinkedIn, that's awesome, because then you can engage on their post. You can reshare their LinkedIn post. You can make an introduction for them, pro bono project. You're building the relationship. Now, once it's built, down the road, you could potentially get connected to the hiring manager of your target department, right? You could potentially get referred for a role. Hey, I saw there was an opening here, right? Can you tell me anything about that, right? So that's down the road. Now, I want you guys to imagine multiplying this effort. A list of 20 target companies distributed to all your immediate network who already know, like, and trust you. And I want you to imagine how many potentially valuable conversations you might have. Okay, imagine who's going to be first in mind when a role opens up at that company. Or once you see a role posted, you've actually got somebody to reach out to from the inside. Okay, so those are the 5 steps. Now, sometimes you need to just go straight to the source, or you want to go straight to the source. So you want to connect to people on LinkedIn who work at the target company. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with doing that, connecting to those humans. Okay, now how do you find them? So here's a visual here. Type the company name into the LinkedIn search bar. Go to the company's LinkedIn page. As you can see on the screen with the arrow, you can click on the hyperlink, which is going to lead you to all the people that work there, right? So then you can, do a search by title and search to all potential, or connect to all potential hiring managers, colleagues in your department, recruiters, talent acquisition. Don't just send the request, send a little blurb, who you are, why you're connecting, meaning like, I'm building my network, I'm a fan of this company, I'd love to have you in my network. Short and sweet, there's a character limit, but have a little blurb there. And now you can actually make a little noise. You can engage with their LinkedIn content. You can share their LinkedIn content. Maybe you're sharing your own thought leadership on your specialty, on your own LinkedIn post, and now you're being put on their radar, right? Now they're looking at you as an expert. Okay, so that, if you do ever need to reach out to them, it's not a cold reach. Okay, next, this is actually a good one too, is, alumni connections. So that's a great place to network. with people in your target company. So type in your college into the LinkedIn search bar, pull up your college LinkedIn page, and you can see the first arrow on the left. You can click on the alumni tab. And then the second arrow on the right on the screen, type in your target company list one by one and see who pops up, see who works there. And it's totally fine to send them a connection request and just give a nod to the fact that you're both alumni of XYZ College and you want to have them in your network. At some point you can follow up with these people, approach them for a virtual coffee using the same script as earlier. I want to learn about this company culture. I'm considering exploring some roles here. Your best bet is to get an introduction to somebody at the target company, but the next best thing is to have something in common with them, right? Like going to the same college, it gives them a little more reason to speak to you. Okay, last here, some optional stuff. I want you to think about ways you can better position yourself in the marketplace by adding value. Like this is a pattern here. Be of service, add value. So number one is thought leadership. So what's thought leadership? Well, I want you to actually review your target job description exercise. So that exercise that I talked about earlier, review that. Look at the commonalities to the top 6 out of 6 job postings, 5 out of 6. Those are really good topics to display some level of thought leadership on using LinkedIn as your platform. Okay, so you can do some research and post a LinkedIn article. LinkedIn lets you post articles about one of these relevant topics. You can do a short YouTube video, a short LinkedIn post, essentially any way where you're positioning yourself as an expert in that field, right? So again, if you are connected to key decision makers at your target company on LinkedIn, this is a good way to get noticed. Number 2, pro bono work. So sounds crazy to work for free right now, but doing this could potentially build your portfolio, right? So if say you write an article if you're a writer, or you create a presentation, if you create decks, whatever your skill set is. But this is also a way for you to address skill set gaps that you need experience with. So if you do the target job description exercise and you realize, oh man, they're asking for this skill and I don't have that, that's a great way to do some pro bono work and get that skill set. This is also a way for you to get LinkedIn testimonials. This is a way to answer the interview question, what have you been up to? P.S. if you do well enough, there's a potential that they might hire you, right? So make sure that if you offer pro bono work, there's a cap. 1 project per target company. So, if you really want to go out there, you could do like 10 target companies, 1 project for each, put little feelers out there. And, again, if your target company they are not hiring, they're on a freeze, you could, think about pitching, doing pro bono work on 1 project that addresses a pain point that they are experiencing. So you got to figure out what that pain point is that they'd be like, oh, you would? That'd be great. Next is contract work. So again, it's a way to bring in fast cash. It's a way to get your foot in the door at your target company if they're not hiring full time, and you figure out what their pain point is, making a pitch, hey, I could work for you for 1 to 2 months and solve that immediate pain point that you have. So you need to do that research, but if they accept you for some contract work, that's where you make them fall in love with you. That's where you knock them out of the water so that they want to hire you at the end. Be indispensable. Number 4, certifications and skills. So again, you did that target job description exercise. What gaps did you identify? What's the stuff that you don't have yet that you're like, it was on every job posting, right? So go online and Google that skill set, get certified. Okay, if you aren't sure which certification to choose, go on an online association of people in your field and ask what they would recommend. Okay, last, I just want to touch on how to structure your day. Now we have the strategy, it's time to execute. So this is all about structuring your day the right way. The truth is, depending on where you're at with your marketing material, your networking, the way that you structure your day is going to be different for each of you, okay? What's important is that you map it out ahead of time. You'll be more successful that way. So I want you to treat it as serious as you would a full-time job. It doesn't have to be 40 hours a week. Don't burn out. But you need to create a schedule. Monday through Friday, I'm clocking in, I'm clocking out at the same time. Determine what that looks like for you, but stick to it. Set up a space to work. Number 2, whatever that looks like for you, clear out the clutter. Number 3, use a calendar and time block. versus a running to-do list. So time blocking on a calendar brings your to-do list to life. So be sure to plug in your action items, right? So like 9 to 10, resume first draft, 10 to 11, LinkedIn page review, whatever that looks like for you. But make it real by scheduling time to do each action item into your calendar. Number 4, add in breaks, add in time to have, some personal life, whatever that looks like, right? Your new morning routine, take a walk, time with the kids. Number 5, I recommend Sunday night, create your weekly schedule. That's where you sit down and you're like, okay, what do I want my week to look like, right? Time block it on a Sunday night. 6, instead of spending the majority of your time, on job boards 24/7, you can get sucked into that black hole. Consider setting up job alerts on LinkedIn, Indeed, Google, all the search engines, and have them delivered to your inbox daily. But the key is you have to schedule time in the morning to check those emails, review those each morning. It'll save you time. 7, track your networking efforts. Again, if 80% of jobs are landed through networking, proportionately, you want to be working on that and you want to be tracking on that, okay? 8 is tracking your job applications. So don't just apply. Be tracking that, be tracking the follow-up. 9, consider using something called the Pomodoro technique. You can Google that. It's breaking your workday into 25-minute chunks separated by 5-minute breaks. So why do I like this? Well, it helps with time management, it helps with focus, it helps with procrastination. So Google that if you're looking for that kind of a technique to help you focus. And last but not least, accountability and support. Don't go at this alone. Find a support group. You could start a support group. Consider getting a coach. That's what we're here for, is to keep you motivated, overcome challenges, build a strategy, keep you accountable. But get some support. Okay. So that's it, guys. I just want to kind of flash on the screen real quick these slides. You're going to get the deck, a bunch of articles that I wrote on relevant topics around career change. You're going to get those goodies. Some information about who is hiring right now. Jobscan actually has a great list about who's hiring right now. So you can get all that links from this slide. I have a free video series, 5 steps to transition into a career that you love. You'll be able to click and download that. And no matter what, you guys, this is what I want to leave you with. This is your new mantra, okay? No matter what happens, no matter what comes my way, I can handle it, okay? Being laid off was one of the best things that ever happened to me. It forced me to reevaluate what I wanted out of my career. I never would have gotten that clarity and achieved my dream role otherwise. So guys, just chip away at this bit by bit. You don't need to do it all week 1. Okay, this is a journey. Your mental health comes first. Give yourself some grace. Every day that you show up, it's a win, and today you showed up. So that's all I got. Here's my contact info. And thanks so much, guys. I'm going to pass it back to you, John.
Hey, thanks so much, Betty. That was really, really great. Got a bunch of questions coming in. Everyone, please keep asking questions in the chat, and we'll get through as many of those as we can here. So I think we'll just jump straight into that, if that sounds good to you, Betty.
Great, let's do it.
All right. Going back to kind of the beginning of your presentation, Carrie asks, if you receive a severance agreement, should you wait until the end of it to file for unemployment? Excuse me.
If you receive a severance agreement, should you wait until the end of it to file for? Yeah, so I believe that, well, first off, here's what I would say. Go to your state's unemployment page, go to that Career One Stop link that I gave you and check on that. But I believe unemployment is going to come, once that severance is done being paid out. But I don't know if that necessarily means you have to wait to apply. So I would right away go and read through the fine print and see if you can that's when you're putting the end date, and it'll probably ask you questions about your severance. So don't wait to get on and check that out.
Excellent. Yeah, I think that is something that could, depend state by state, and don't hesitate to get into there. Norton asks, at what point should I consider reaching out to a career coach for guidance? You talked about, applying to potentially hundreds of jobs. At what point should you think, okay, maybe I need some extra help here?
I mean, obviously I'm a career coach, so I'm gonna say right away, because I'm bought into that. I've drank that Kool-Aid. But here's, I guess what I would say is if you've applied to hundreds, I would reach out to somebody right away, because a career coach is trained to help. It's kind of like a doctor tries to figure out, okay, you don't feel good. What's wrong? What part of your body is hurting? That career coach is looking at, okay, 100, you applied to 200 places. What does your resume look like? What's your follow-up look like? What's your LinkedIn? They're helping you diagnose what the issue is. So I would reach out right away. And there's a ton of career coaches out there. So at the very least, you're going to be interviewing career coaches to figure out, pricing and style and all that good stuff.
Excellent. Heidi and a few other people asked, what about my part-time bridge job?
Yeah.
Should I add that to my resume, or if it's not related to my career?
Oh, that's a good question. Part-time bridge job, should I add it to my resume? If it's what you're here's what I would say. If it's something that you had in the past, you don't need to add every job you've ever had in your whole life to your resume. Your resume is, you don't want to show that you had any gaps, but it's also meant to be targeted, not like your life story. But that being said, we're in a pandemic. So I truly don't believe that hiring managers or recruiters are going to judge you for a bridge job right now. I mean, again, go back to the stat that I shared in the beginning. I mean, this is human life right now. People are getting bridge jobs. So it's okay. And it's okay to, share, I got this as a bridge job, right? But this is my target.
Norton again asks, would you recommend the same 4-step job description exercise for internships?
Would I recommend the same 4-step job or internships?
For internships.
Oh, for internships. Okay. Yeah. Because if you have to apply for an internship, right? They're not just accepting anybody for an internship. They're looking for a certain type of a human. So yeah, I would look that up for internships and get that together so that you can talk about how who you are aligns with the internship you're applying for.
Great. And Phil actually asked a great question here. What are some things a career coach can do to help once I land a new job? So maybe after getting a job, what else can I help with?
Yeah, so a couple things. First thing I would say is do your research with career coaches, because all of us are specialized in something different. Typically, there's some that are all about the interview prep. There's some that are all about finding your clarity on your dream, right? So everybody's got a different process and speciality. So that's number one. Number two is, so you want to find career coaches that will coach you once you land the role, because not every career coach is specialized in that. There's a great book, trying to think if I'm going to get this name right. It's like what to do in your first 90 days. If you Google first 90 days book, it's like a blue cover. That is a really great book. I use that book. I send that book to my clients when they land their new role and we're getting them prepped. So check that out. But there are coaches that will help you get up and running and, get your first 90 days so that you're hitting it from the right place.
Excellent. A couple networking questions here. Meredith asks, assuming I have no common connections, who at the company do you recommend contacting? The CEO, a recruiter, and what's the best way to reach out to them? Email versus LinkedIn, say.
Yeah. Okay. So assuming you don't have any, so you reach out to your immediate network and say, hey, here are my target companies, and nobody's got them on the list. Then yeah, I would use LinkedIn, and PS, I would watch the, Jobscan webinar on getting your LinkedIn profile up to snuff, get yourself looking sharp before you start connecting to these people. But I would connect to them on LinkedIn again with that little, blurb that I talked about, just saying, hey, introducing yourself, who you are, why you're connecting, and then, find ways to build relationships with that human. If they're sharing LinkedIn post, engage, comment, reshare, position yourself as a thought leader so that now you've got all these LinkedIn connections to your target company and they're seeing alerts that you're posting articles and videos and topics on your expertise, right? That's a great segue for a conversation to eventually get into with that person.
Sure. And actually, Meredith asked about the thought leadership as well. Any tips about feeling more confident, in that thought leadership? And she says she's always afraid to kind of speak up.
Oh yeah. First off, that's so normal. I definitely felt that way when I first got into career coaching. Am I really going to be, posting videos? And I mean, just anybody feels that way. So to get confidence, remember how you feel is attached to the thought you're thinking, right? So think about, in order to feel confident, what's the thought I need to attach to in order to trigger a feeling of confidence? A lot of the time, the best way to get over a fear is to go out and do it. If you're nervous that what you're saying is not, I don't know, doesn't sound right, I would encourage you to do research. So pick a topic off your target job description exercise and do research. Spend a whole day. That's what I do when I write a LinkedIn article. I spend a whole day doing research, reading articles, and then I piece together my ideas coming out of that. Feel free to have a colleague look at it before you hit publish. It'll get easier.
Great. And talking about, actually going out and applying, Tanya asks, how many applications do you recommend per day, considering I'm doing it full time right now?
How many applications per day? I mean, it's tough. It's tough because I don't know if I want to tell you like there's a certain number you have to do per day. I think it's more about the quality over the quantity. So if you're targeted, so I don't want you to do 25 per day, but it's all over the board. So targeted, right? So even if you do, let's say, 5 or 10 per day, as long as they're targeted, as long as your resume, for each resume, you have to update it for that role, right? That's time consuming. So I would worry less about, I have to push this many out per day, and worry more about the quality and that the role that you're applying for, you're updating your resume accordingly. I'd rather see the KPI that you measure yourself be, how many networking conversations do I have? How many networking engagements do I have? That, to me, that's going to, because again, 80% of jobs are landed through networking. So try measuring yourself by that KPI.
Great. And you mentioned earlier in your presentation that, employers are, sympathetic to, saying I was laid off because of COVID. But someone asks, I've been unemployed for more than a year. What are some things I could be doing differently? And how do I go about showing that gap?
Yeah, that's tough. So here's what I would recommend for you unemployed for a year. Go back to the slide that I had about the 4, I'm trying to remember what the title was, but it was like the 4 ways you can better position yourself in the marketplace by adding value. So obviously get the bridge job if you have to get the bridge job right now to keep yourself afloat. But if it's been a year and you've had a tough time breaking in, try out the thought leadership, try out the pro bono work. That'll get your foot in the door. Try some contract work, right? So think about creative ways to get your foot in the door. Go back and review that slide.
Awesome. And those slides are getting sent out in about 2.5 minutes here. They're scheduled to fly out. So keep an eye on your inboxes. Let's see. Stella asks, any advice for job seekers who are older and concerned about ageism when seeking a new job?
Yeah, absolutely. So I get asked that question a lot. I will say 2 things. Off the cuff, first off, I'm not going to, yeah, it's not a real thing. It's ageism happens. So instead of, focusing on that, seek out companies who have more age diversity. So do your research and seek out companies who have more age diversity, number 1. Number 2, at the end of the day, companies want someone to solve their pain point. We got to figure this out in our department. We got to figure this out, right? So even if there is some element of ageism, if you can identify what that pain point is by doing research, by asking questions, and then you can come in and blow them out of the water saying, hey, based on my experience, I can solve this pain point. I've solved something like this in my past, and here's how I would approach it, right? That's what could get you over that hump, right? Is by just showing them, regardless of age, I got you. I can solve that problem. Check the slide where I give you all the resources and the links on articles that I wrote. I wrote a couple different articles about overcoming ageism, so check those out.
Excellent. Let's see if we can get through a few more questions here as we're up against time. Stella also asked, I've been furloughed and I'm not confident that I will be brought back. Would you recommend starting the job hunt?
Yes. Yeah. Don't wait. Don't wait. It's a process. And
Cool.
plus, again, networking. You always want to be even people that are secure in their jobs and, oh, life is good. I would be doing like widening my eyes if they told me they weren't networking. You should always be networking no matter what.
Zafir asked a really great question, I think, is, do you have any recommendations on reaching out to a recruiter you coordinated with in the previous year, but you didn't get the role, if the company now has similar roles?
That's a good question. Yeah. So, and again, I know I'm like a broken record, but this is why it's so good to network, because then you're not reaching back out when you need something, right? Because you've had the relationship going. So, but here's what I would say. Yeah, reach back out, and you can just say, hey, I'm on the market for a new role again. See if they'd be interested in hopping on a call and seeing if there was something that was a good fit. I mean, just reach back out, but also be thinking about, how can I serve that human? That's another human out there that has their own set of job responsibilities and problems. So recruiters, you could even potentially say, hey, by the way, if you have like a list that you're sharing of job openings, I'm happy to go through my own network and see if I know anybody that might be a good match for some of your other roles, right? Not the one you're applying for, but some of the other ones. And hey, I'm happy to make an introduction, right? So again, coming from a place of service is a really good opener.
Great. SR asks, do you have any networking tips for going through a career transition? Is there anything differently that you would do in that circumstance if you're changing industries or roles completely?
Yeah. So, couple things. First thing is, again, I wrote an article on how to change careers without any experience. So in the slide with all the articles, check that out, because I wrote a full-fledged article on how to do that. But it is a lot of the same stuff we talked about today. So that target job description exercise is going to put you in that mind frame. And then, you need to create that target list of, okay, I'm doing a complete career change here. I'm whatever it is, a new industry, a new job title. What are your target jobs, and who can you speak to? Try to figure out what are some associations that you can join, some professional associations where you can start networking, but it's the same type of an approach.
Mm-hmm. Well, I really like this question from Deepak here. He says, I want a job, but I don't want to be in the same situation a couple years later. Should I invest more time in upgrading my skills rather than rushing into another job immediately? So his main worry is, should he look to fill the gap, or should he look into upgrading his skills?
Yeah. So good question. It 100% depends on your financial runway. So again, if you think back to the earlier slide where I said, hey, assess your financial situation. Some of you are doing your assessment and saying, yeah, I need a job in the next month or two, because my runway is short. So in that case, I'm not going to tell you like, yeah, go off and do all these certifications and then get a job. Like, no, get the bridge job, but never stop learning. So it's just more of a matter of, do you have a longer runway financially where you have that, luxury to do some more certifications now before you hop into the next job? If you do, great. If you don't, take the next job, but yeah, continue getting those skills that you need to.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, I think we're just about through the questions. I have one more here from Caroline asking, how often should I keep in touch with my network? Or how would you kind of approach that?
Yeah, good one. So I guess what I would say is keep it authentic, right? Like, we're humans. So if somebody seems really pushy, or they're not really adding value, they're just trying to touch base, check in, it's kind of obnoxious. So it's more about just having your networking list of all your people and thinking about, how can I add value to that person today? And see, what are they posting on LinkedIn? Go to their LinkedIn page, right? What do they have going on in their life? Thinking about conversations you had with them, right? They talked about their kid is in soccer camp, and then you find a great soccer camp in the area. You shoot them a message and say, hey, we should check up soon. We should catch up soon. So whatever it is, it's less about like how many times, it's more about how can I authentically engage? And with your tracking sheet, you'll see the people that have died off, like, oh, I haven't really talked to them for 3 weeks. Just be thinking about, how can I add value or touch base with them? Even it's just reaching out and say, hey, do you want to do a coffee chat?
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Betty, for your presentation and answering all these questions. I think it was a really, really great presentation. I think we're all set. So thanks so much, Betty. And any final words for everyone here?
No, you guys, just don't get discouraged. It's just one step at a time. Chip away at this. Just chip away at this. Give yourself grace. And no matter what happens, no matter what comes your way, you can and you will handle it. You got this.
Online listings make applying for jobs easier than ever. So why aren't you getting a response from employers? Easy applications means more applicants, which means more competition. Leading companies use automated software tools called applicant tracking systems, or ATS, that weed out many resumes before they even reach a real person. So how do you cut through the noise? With Jobscan. Jobscan uses artificial intelligence to get your resume past the filters. We've reverse engineered their systems to create an intelligent tool that provides proprietary insights to optimize your resume at a much deeper level. So you can tailor your resume for each job based on precise keywords and skills most valued by the company. Jobscan can even optimize your LinkedIn profile so company recruiters find you before you even know they're looking for your skill set. Let Jobscan maximize your chances with every application. Register for your free account and run your first scan today.